Hello and welcome to The Reasons I'm Broke, number 78. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Daniel.
And this week's episode is brought to you by MegaCon 2014, Orlando's biggest anime, sci-fi, and comic book convention.
You can get your tickets at megaconvention.com. Get your tickets early to get in an hour early on Friday.
And we are actually now only 1 week away, so you definitely want to pick up those tickets because this episode's going up Sunday, a week from this coming Friday. The convention begins.
So really almost a week and a half. Let's not get them too excited.
And
these brokettes are going to show up at the Orlando Convention Center like on this weekend. They told me a week.
I'm about to go there like right now. You don't understand. Work? Who needs work?
I'm just here. I'm a custodian. I don't pay parking now. I'm going to sit here a week.
We want to talk about being kind of obsessed about this convention. I can view my schedule at midnight, right? Mm-hmm. So I was working tonight, and I'm like, let's look at my schedule. And I pull it up, and I don't have it off.
Well, I'm going to have so much fun, and I'll just text you.
You're not listening. So I turned to my manager, and I said, I don't have next weekend off. He's like, well, no, you're on the wait list, and you didn't get it. I'm like, I'm not going to be here next weekend. I'm not. I will not be here. And he's like, well, you're going to have to... I don't care if I have to call in. I will. All 3 days. I will not be here.
I don't know who's going to cover for you.
I don't know who's going to cover for me either, but I'm going to be at MegaCon.
I will still, even if you don't make it, I'll text you. I'll give you like an hourly update. And I'll have the brokettes that are at MegaCon text you as well and let you know, like, hey, we just met Dustin Nguyen. You didn't even know he was going to be here.
He's not going to be... Stop it. No, I think I got two options right now. I will be there.
All right, then we'll see... Kelly at MegaCon, maybe?
We'll do a documentary, Kelly's Road to MegaCon. At first, she couldn't make it. You gotta have, like, me putting my head in my hand, like, looking real sad. But then there was hope.
You gotta have that moment where they're filming you inside the car, and there's gotta be, like, I thought I was gonna make it this year. And, like, 10 seconds of silence, because that's how the documentaries go, and... well, maybe I will go. And then it cuts to something else. I always love the bad documentaries on Netflix where it is that. It's like, no, cut after the silence. That's dramatic effect. Come on.
You gotta have me, like, cooking dinner. Be like, I save up for this all year. We gotta, like, look at our statues that we've bought there. But not all of them were, but they make us think they were all bought there.
Gotta see the cameraman's reflection in the glass. That's always... Those are my favorite documentaries.
This is great. We got a week to get this out, Dan. Come on.
The Road to MegaCon 2014. Once again, get your tickets at megaconvention.com. We are big on film. Mm-hmm. Big news right here. The Oscars.
Ooh.
A lot of you are way ahead of us. You know who won, but you don't know our thoughts on it. So we're going to give you a rundown on the ones that we actually paid attention to. You in particular for this very first one. I want to get the one you're most excited for right out of the way.
When did I say I was most excited for this?
Do you want to build a snowman, Kelly? Do you want to build a snowman?
I would like it to snow here just once.
Best animated feature of 2014,
Frozen.
I guess, of the Oscars. Yeah, Frozen.
Did we see any other animated feature this year?
I don't think so.
Then this was the best.
We didn't see that Miyazaki one. We didn't see I'm sure there was like the same studio that did Wallace and Gromit. They always come out with one that is nominated.
Yeah.
They probably came out with one.
Probably.
But Frozen.
Here's what I'll say about Frozen. People really like Frozen.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Frozen is a pretty good movie. It's probably the best thing I think Disney's animated studios has released in a while.
I guess.
But compared to their old movies, this is
What are you talking about? Home on the Range? That was really good.
No, Dan, I don't even know what you're talking about.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm talking
saying
about,
that
like,
it's the best one they released in years. I mean, Princess and the Frog was great.
That was good.
But what can you name after that?
Exactly. I think it is one of the best ones that they've released in a long time. It's my opinion.
You were quick to point out, though, that it's not original.
No, I did. Okay, I'm on Pinterest all the time, and this is all over Pinterest, but everybody's saying it's the first one to show sisterly love, Lilo and Stitch. It's the first one where she doesn't need a man to make her, Mulan. Like, you know, stuff like that. No, all these ideas are not original. It's stuff Disney's done before. People are just going crazy.
Or the attractive, what was it, like the ugly protagonist, and then it went to Hunchback of Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. Not the Hunchback, but actually, what's his name? The colonel or the officer.
I know what you're talking about.
Not very good looking.
Phoebus or whatever.
Looked like Owen Wilson, actually. Sorry, Owen. I'm sure he's listening.
Oh, I'm sure.
But more related to Frozen, let it go, let it go,
What are you
let it
singing?
go, let it go.
I don't-
Someone's always saying, let it go. Right? That's what won, right? The best song of the year? I don't know these songs. Like,
I don't know what you're singing.
isn't that what it's called?
No. Maybe. Yeah.
It's called Let It Go.
It just doesn't go that way.
Mine's better.
Yeah, okay, Dan. Yes, that did win for best song. I knew it would when they're like, these are the songs that were out. I'm kind of happy Pharrell didn't win.
What song won again? Was it Smile or whatever? I'm Happy?
No, that didn't win. Pharrell didn't win.
What song did he make that was in a movie?
Oh, Happy.
That was in a movie?
Yeah, in Despicable Me 2.
Okay, alright. I didn't see that, but I know it's all over Universal's park. Like those little, what are they called? The little
Minions.
nuggets? The little minions? See, I know nothing about this shit. The nuggets. Like, it's like a Burger King menu item. So I didn't know. Pharrell won, that's good. We liked them in the Daft Punk
Pharrell
album.
did not win.
Fine, but I'm sure he
was
won for
nominated.
something. I'm sure he won for
He
the Daft
didn't.
Punk album. It was the
okay.
Penguin, but really. Best Supporting Actor, Jared Leto for Dallas Buyers Club.
We did not see that, but we need to really get on this and see some of these.
Yeah, actually, my mom checked out Dallas Buyers Club. I have
Awesome.
to head over there and actually grab it and watch it myself. He was in American Psycho, one of my favorite
Oh,
movies of all time.
didn't know that.
He was the fucking guy that gets killed while he's wearing the raincoat, Christian Bale. I love that
Hip to
scene.
be square.
Hip to be square. And he's dancing. I love that scene. I love Jared Leto because he dies so great in that.
So
He
funny.
was also in Requiem for a Dream. Sticks that needle in his arm. Remember, he has like that. Did you ever see that?
I didn't see much of it. I think I walked in on the part when they were in the club with the pole and the two girls.
Ass to ass.
And I'm like, I think I'm done now, but thanks.
80% of the way through, you're like, I'm done with this.
Well, I walked in and I didn't even see anything up to that point. I just walked in and I was like, oh. I didn't-
That's right, I was watching it, wasn't I?
Sorry that I disturbed you.
Yeah, he plays like a drug addict in that. That's the kind of movie that they show you in high school. Like, don't do drugs because this will happen to you. And I'm like, what? I'll turn into Jared Leto and start doing drugs? What's his name? One of the Wayans brothers was in that movie too. That is right there evidence that Darren Aronofsky can make any actor into the best actor they can be. Because after that movie and before that, you never saw, I think it was Marlon Wayans, ever make a great movie like he did. His role has never been better, and he's never been as good an actor as he was in Requiem for a Dream. Same goes with Jared Leto. Although I liked him in American Psycho, he was amazing in Requiem for a Dream. Hugh Jackman with The Fountain. Natalie Portman in Black Swan. Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler. Name me a role that tops their parts in those movies. You can't. And now Noah is coming out. That is a retelling of the biblical tale by an atheist director, starring Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe will wreck that role, and it'll be amazing because every single movie Darren Aronofsky has done so far has been great.
And he'll probably win an Oscar for it next year.
Finally, I hope so. Did you see how disappointed he was when he lost for Black Swan?
Yeah.
We were watching that year because we're like, come on, Aronofsky. And Natalie Portman once, we were like, okay, that's kind of a win for him because he directed her. At the end of the day, she did the role, so it was all her win. But he lost for Best Direction, and he was so upset.
Didn't he lose to King's Speech that year?
I believe so.
Which King's Speech was pretty good.
It was good. It was not as good as Black Swan. Although I think we own both of them.
Yeah, we do.
He was not as mad, though, as Leonardo DiCaprio was at this year's Oscar.
No. Have you seen the memes they've done for that?
I have.
When he goes to give him a hug, he's like, that's my Oscar.
They always cut to, like, a still of him in Django Unchained. Like, with the big... When he's yelling in that one scene where right before he gets killed. Spoiler alert. Too late. The movie's been out. You should have seen it by now.
I haven't, Dan. Thanks.
It was good. So, I mean, he'll get his Oscar eventually.
He will.
But I want Aronofsky to get it before DiCaprio because he wants it so bad. He wants it as bad as Dick Grayson wants to be named Nightwing and called Nightwing. You're still Robin. Stop it, Dick. So the next one was Best Supporting Actress.
Lupita Nyong'o for 12 Years a Slave. This was very good for you, Dan.
Oh.
It was a good win for you.
Good for mine, yeah. She was Mexican-born and Kenyan-raised.
You didn't say that Mexican-y enough. Oh, shoot. I can't even do it.
She was Mexican-born.
Yes, Mexican-born and Kenyan-raised.
So great for her. That was the first Mexican-born actress to win a Best Supporting Actress Oscar. Also, Best Cinematography was by Emmanuel Lubezki. Very important, the cinematographer in the film. That is the person that's actually working the camera. Also, a lot of the times, too, is the lighting. Huge on the actual film. If you fuck up the lighting, that can screw up the entire scene, no matter how good the director is. Any brokettes out there don't know that I was actually a film major before I switched over to education. So once you actually work on a movie, you realize how important, like, the director's great, but actually the entire crew, especially the camera work and the lighting, that's very essential to the actual movie. But many will argue that at the end of the day, it is the editor. And that's the way I was taught, and that's actually what I'll go with, because editing will make or break a film.
Yeah, I agree with that too, but I think it's kind of a joint collaboration of everything. I don't know. I wasn't a film major, sorry.
That actually leads us to the next category, Best Editing.
Yep. Alfonso Cuarón and Mark Sanger for Gravity.
Another landmark for my people.
You still didn't say that Mexican enough.
Alfonso Cuarón, my people. We finally, I gotta say it like Ricardo Montalban in Star Trek The Wrath of Khan. The best editing. Alfonso Cuarón, yeah, the first Mexican film editor to win an Oscar. Again, many will argue that Gravity won everything.
They won a lot.
It's pretty insane how many... And we saw Gravity. We reviewed it on the podcast. I'm going to go ahead and say it doesn't deserve all the Oscars that it won.
Yeah, I would agree with that. George Clooney was the best part.
He was just floating around space and then coming back later on in the movie. Which is funny because we were just watching a George Clooney movie last night.
Up in the Air.
Yeah, we saw that when it came out in theaters. We loved it. If you want to see George Clooney at his best, I would say.
Really?
It would be in Up in the Air.
Yep, it's a very good movie. It rips my heart out. Every time. I can't spoil it, Dan, in case anybody hasn't seen it. But the ending.
All right.
Rips it out and crushes it. And then because I had seen it before and I knew it was going to happen, then I disliked it more the second time. Because I was like, no, George Clooney, don't do it! But what are you going to do?
That's a sign of a good movie. When you care so much. Not because you don't get upset because the movie's bad, but because of the characters and the decisions they're about to make. Best screenplay written for screen went to Spike Jonze for the movie Her. The thing about Her, I would say the best part about it was the set design and the directing. When you come away from Her, you most remember, as you're watching it too, you're like, holy shit, the scene is set up so well, and the camera work and the direction, more than the story, which is probably the biggest problem for a movie like Her. But, you know, it's one of those movies that you more appreciate, not for the story, but for the way it looks and for the amount of work that went into the setup into making this look like a future for humanity.
Next up, we have our Best Leading Actor, which, as we said, was not Leonardo DiCaprio. It was Matthew McConaughey for Dallas Buyers Club.
His speech was great. He thanked himself and talked about how he looked up to himself and finally won the Oscar, and he says he still looks up to himself 10 years from now.
Oh, Matthew. But. Do you remember back in the day when he was kind of a joke?
Yeah.
And then he did, the first thing I liked him in was...
Lincoln Lawyer.
Yes. He did awesome in that.
And then Mud came.
That Mud was great, too. And...
now Dallas Buyers Club.
We'll go see it soon, I guess. Poor...
You know what some people are calling this film era? The McConaughey Renaissance.
Good for them. Good for them. I still feel bad for DiCaprio. Now, he did release a good quote, though. Did you see it?
What is it?
It was something along the lines of, like, I don't act to win an Oscar, I act because I love it.
He said that because people are making fun of him because he's clearly upset that he hasn't won yet.
Well, no, he released that before the Oscars.
Oh, okay. Well, that was probably him, like, maybe I'll really win it if I act like I don't care.
Yeah.
He was playing hard to get. So good for Matthew McConaughey, actually. It's almost like he's been playing a joke on all of us in the last, his entire career. And
Right.
suddenly he's like, you know what, I'm going to be a good actor. And then he was, and he is. Best leading actress was Cate Blanchett for Blue Jasmine.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Blue Jasmine. That was the latest Woody Allen film.
I didn't see that one, did I?
She was great in it. She was awesome. I think the last Woody Allen film you saw was Midnight in Paris, which we adore.
That was a great movie. He didn't do From Rome with Love?
Oh, that's right. We did see that. That was right after, I think.
Yeah. I really liked that one, too.
Mm-hmm.
Singing in the shower.
Yeah, that was awesome. But Cate Blanchett was really good in that role. I didn't like it as much as Midnight in Paris.
No.
This was kind of a weak film for him.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say go out and buy it. If you really like Cate Blanchett and you want to see her performance in it, then see it. But otherwise, I would say pass on Blue Jasmine.
Next, we have Best Director. Oh, this is another good one for Dan.
Another landmark.
Alfonso Cuarón for Gravity.
Another one, first Mexican director to ever win an Oscar. Not the first to be nominated, but definitely the first to win. It's funny because when you go on Twitter and you go on the Oscars, and right after he won, a lot of people, including myself, went on there and said, same director that did the best of all the Harry Potter films, and that was Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Which one was your favorite? Probably the last one, right? Because of the Snape scenes?
I did. I really liked the last one. Oh, Snape. He's so dreamy. I'm here on the air saying Snape is dreamy. He's a dreamy man. Can't help it.
Good job, Alan Rickman. You should be his Hermione.
Oh, man. Hermione stories are the best. I need to reread that one. It's called Pet Project. It's on fanfiction. Go read it, guys. It's really good. And finally, we have Best Picture, 12 Years a Slave.
I was surprised it wasn't Gravity because it was winning everything.
Yeah,
but
I thought it was going to be Gravity, too.
12 Years a Slave, I did not see it. I guess I do have to watch it now.
Yep. Call yourself a film major, not watching these award-winning movies.
Although many would argue that these aren't really films. Like all the real true film snobs are like, no, it was this movie you haven't heard
It was
of.
Frozen.
It's a foreign film. It's not Frozen. It's going to be like the foreign version of Frozen that came out like a month before.
Frozen.
El Frozen.
Frozen was based off of this movie.
Has nothing to do with snow. So those were the Oscars. The best film we saw last year, it's tough to say. Gravity was really good. It definitely didn't deserve all the Oscars it got, and I wouldn't even say Her was up there either.
I never saw Her. The Lego Movie. Where was the Lego Movie?
Well, that came out this year.
Oh, it did. I forget what year we're in.
I'd have to go back and go through everything that came out last year and actually pick out what our favorite movie was.
I don't even remember.
Yours is Frozen because
mine's
you're
not Frozen. But
the Disney person.
Speaking of Frozen, can we talk about John Travolta for a second?
Who, Adele Dazeem Travolta?
The thing that gets me, because I've watched this clip a couple times, he's so into it. He's like, the phenomenal. No, what does he say? The wickedly.
Wonderful. Yeah, wickedly.
The wickedly talented Adele Dazeem. Who are you talking about, John Travolta?
The way he said it, I was like, is he sarcastic? Like, did she say something to him?
Maybe she did, and that's why he was an ass. Like,
asshole, yeah.
I'm going to say your name wrong. I like the people who got on, like, Facebook right after, and they're like, I seriously thought I had mispronounced her name for all these years.
Adele Dazeem. And the name looks nothing like what he pronounced it.
It's Idina. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but it's Idina.
But it's
something.
not Adele Dazeem.
It's not Adele Dazeem.
Within like minutes of him saying that, there was already a Twitter of @Adele Dazeem.
Jorn Tromolto.
They called him Jorn Tromolto.
Oh, the internet.
There's like an app now that you can put in your name and it'll John Travoltalize it to whatever it is. So congratulations to all the winners and really to all the landmarks as well, especially me. I would recognize all these wins. Really, it was an Oscar for me. Thank you, everyone.
For you personally.
Yeah, for me personally.
You have it sitting up in your room.
I'm somehow related to these guys. More closely related than you are.
Tom Hanks. Has he ever won Oscars? Maybe they're Emmys.
No, he's definitely won.
Won
Forrest
Oscars?
Gump.
Did you see what he did with one of them?
What'd he do?
He taped it to his car as a hood ornament.
He probably doesn't give a shit. Like,
No. He's like, the fuck is this?
Would he ride into the Oscars with it? I hope he did.
I don't think he did. I think he got it, and then he walked out to his car, and like, expensive car, and just like masking tape.
Jeez.
Taped it to the hood of his car. One of a kind hood ornament.
Yeah, I hope he kept it there too.
I hope so too. I'll show you the picture later. So funny.
With that, we can actually move to some comic book news. We actually never did like a proper intro to the new Broquettes. Right now, they're like, so they talk about film on this podcast. Really, what this podcast is we cover comic books, movies, TV, video games, and more. The way the format goes is we cover all the news that we touched up on this week, stuff that interests us. And then we finish off the show with what was on our pull list, specifically comic books. Mainly DC books, but lately it's been a lot of indie and Marvel books. Mm-hmm. So with that, we can move into the Arrow news for last week. And that was that the Flash costume was revealed.
Yep, it looks really cool.
I love it.
It's just kind of from his neck up.
Mm-hmm.
You get a profile shot.
Mm-hmm.
I do really like it. It's very authentic to, I think, what the Flash costume has been in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
And in, I guess, cartoon media, too.
Guy has a big head.
He does.
That's one thing I noticed.
He does. He has a very big head. Maybe he's Mexican. The first
we do have big heads.
Mexican Flash.
You know, since we're on this trend
whatever
now.
happened to George Lopez? Speaking of big heads.
He made his money. He had his show canceled and went off somewhere. I'm sure he's doing stand-up, actually.
Probably.
Most of these comedians, that's where they end up going back to what they started off as, and that's stand-up comedians.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, costume looks great. Can't wait to see a full shot of it. Maybe I'll dislike it then.
Yeah.
But, you know, a profile shot, it looks fantastic. I can't wait to see him in the show.
I believe this is the same Flash that is supposed to have his own spin-off TV show from Arrow.
Okay,
So
cool.
They're being smart about this. This is the Flash. Hey guys, you guys love him? Check out his show right here. Boom, another show. Maybe they'll spin off a Suicide Squad after this, since Deathstroke is on Arrow now, and we already know the video game is on its way. You heard it first here on The Reasons I'm Broke. The Suicide Squad game will be worked on by Warner Brothers Montreal. It's happening. It's going to happen.
What's Harley going to wear?
It doesn't matter.
It does.
Because she might not even be on the Suicide Squad.
Oh, it's true, because she's doing Batman things.
She's doing Batman things. We'll cover that later.
On to some more DC news. They announced the Green Lantern, the animated series, Blu-ray.
The entire series, not just the first season.
Well, there's only like 2 seasons, Dan.
Both seasons on Blu-ray. Currently, I think it retails for $29.99.
Worth it. Are you kidding me? Worth it.
It is worth
Buy
it. We pre-ordered it.
We get to go see some Razor Eye Love.
As of us recording this now, it went up 2 days ago for pre-order.
Awesome. What would you do if at the end they're like, and here's an extra episode of what happens to everybody?
Here's a preview to season 3, exclusive to Netflix.
And you see like a little Sinestro hand in it, like pointing. And they're like, where's the Sinestro pages? He's like, they're burned.
I'm so mysterious. Yes, you are, Sinestro.
Why are you touching yourselves?
Because it's Sinestro. We're talking about
You're like rubbing
Sinestro.
your chest. Sinestro.
Only I may call you Thal.
This has some gay fan fiction written all over it, Dan.
Write it. The Reasons I'm Broke fanfic. Speaking of romance, because we fell in love with this show, especially after we finished this season, House of Cards Season 2.
So good.
It's amazing. After we finished Season 1, you heard us raving about it. And we told you to watch Season 2. I hope you did. And you were not disappointed. Season 2 was amazing.
If you didn't watch Season 2, meet me in a subway. And we'll have a few words.
I won't be on camera, though.
But I'll be in control now. You gotta tap something with your ring.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it was so good. So good. It was awkward in one episode.
Yeah, there were some weird moments in this. It definitely ramped up the stakes for everyone involved. Because this is, if you haven't seen House of Cards, you're mainly following Frank Underwood and how he's trying to gain power, gain control, but there are things in his way. Sure, he may always win in the end, but not without making some sacrifices. And where this show succeeds is it makes you care about those characters that in the end may or may not be
kind of cast aside or trampled over to get where Frank wants to go.
Yeah, and you really can't blame him because this is who you're rooting for in the end, but you are going to take some hits along with Frank along the way. Mm-hmm. And season 2, it's some of the characters that you really, really established in season 1 end up losing. And you're kind of like, shit.
One thing I really like about the show, too, I know people knock it for it, but I like it even more. We watched the Colbert interview with one of the producers, and people always ask him, why does Frank turn and talk to the camera? You'll see it happens all the time. It's one of my favorite things. Just because I like it. I don't know, he makes funny faces.
Yeah.
But the producer actually said, when he turns and talks to you and tells you what he's really thinking, you're now an accomplice. So you're rooting for him doing all this stuff that he's doing, which may or may not be legal or morally right. Mm-hmm. But he's now pulled you into it, and you're like, oh shit, I hope he wins, because fuck, man, I'm a part of it now.
That was so smart of him to put it that way, too.
Oh man, that was great. It was great. But fantastic show. If you guys don't have Netflix, it's not that expensive. Get Netflix.
I think it's like $7 a month.
Skip lunch one day.
Mm-hmm. And that's your Netflix for the month. Mm-hmm. Binge watch all of House of Cards, season 1 and 2.
Unless you're President Obama, then...
you got bigger things to worry about. Pushing people in front of subways.
Dan, now you've spoiled it.
They don't know what's going on. They don't even know what I'm talking about.
One thing we also saw this week, moving into movies, is Liam Neeson's new movie, Nonstop, a.k.a. Taken on a Plane.
Taken on a Plane. What did we pay to go see?
Taken on a Plane.
Liam Neeson kicking ass and killing people. That's who he is now, yes. After Taken.
Yes.
He used to be like the teaching role or the fatherly figure. Even in Batman Begins, and where he was a villain as Ra's al Ghul, he was still like the mentor to Bruce Wayne, which that's what made the twist so great in Batman Begins, and that this man that taught you everything ended up being the cause of your parents being killed in Batman Begins. So in this role, now that Liam Neeson has finished Taken, he is now like the action hero badass. I once heard like there were these kids coming out of Taken. This was still when Taken was in theaters. And they were probably like 10, 11 years old. And they were fighting. And one of them says, don't make me go Liam Neeson on your ass. And I was like, just this single tear came out of my eye. Like for the future.
My people. Wait, no, that's my people.
Yeah, it was your people. Yeah. Liam Neeson.
we have speaking of my people, it's March. It's Irish Day. So up at work, there's like a slideshow that runs, and it's like famous Irish people. And you have Bono, and I guess Kate Middleton, and you know, Conan. All these people are normal clothes, and then it's Jedi Liam Neeson in the middle. And I don't understand why it's Jedi Liam Neeson and not normal Liam Neeson, but what do I know? Anyway, it was a great movie. There were twists, and you think you know who it is, and then you don't, and then you think it's somebody else. I thought it was Liam Neeson for half of it. Just
me too.
Like a crazy man. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was. I don't know. I'm not spoiling.
You should watch it. Find out for yourself. It was good. I really like Nonstop. It's another one of those movies in which Liam Neeson saves the movie. If it had been anyone else, it wouldn't have been as good.
I don't know. Matthew McConaughey over here.
I still wouldn't. Let's not give him that much credit. He's no Liam Neeson. Even though Liam Neeson, I don't think he's won an Oscar yet.
No.
But
really, even for Schindler's List?
I think he was nominated, but I don't think he won. And that was like the closest he ever got.
Right.
But Nonstop, you go and see it for Liam Neeson. Mm-hmm. It's not like... There was one movie, I think it was called Unknown, in which we went to see. It was right after like Taken, and we're like, oh, so they marketed this like he's this badass, he's gonna go kill people, and the whole time he's running and hiding. Yep. We're like, god damn it, that was kind of a waste of money. Like, we love Liam Neeson. It was right after his wife died, so we wanted to give him a little bit of support. He had been doing a lot of movies at that time, of which like his wife... The character's wife had been killed or separated or died or something. We're like, I think he's choosing these on purpose. It's not just, the roles he's landing. And something similar in Nonstop. He's still like the single man character that at the end of it, Maybe finds love, maybe he doesn't.
Randomly finds love.
Yeah.
And we're in love now. Okay, you both probably live like thousands of miles away, but do what you want.
Yeah, but Nonstop, it is a broken character he starts out as, but he's still a man of duty, and he will actually go out and carry out his job, even if he is doing it immorally. Maybe if he is doing it while he's impaired. Doesn't matter. You still root for the guy, and you kind of see how he puts a stop to this nonsense that's going on this plane.
Sit down, we're on a plane. And they're like, oh, okay, Liam Neeson.
And that's the end of the movie. So we recommend it. If you like Liam Neeson, go out and watch it. If you like Taken, especially, check out Nonstop.
Yep, aka Taken on a Plane.
Taken on a Plane.
We're going to move into some video game news now. A limited edition Yoshi's Island 3DS XL will arrive in North America on March 14th for $199.99.
Exactly the price of a 3DS XL right now.
Not as cool as my Pikachu one.
Not as cool as my Zelda one.
Which is still not as cool as my Pikachu one.
This Yoshi Island 3DS XL does not come with Yoshi's Island.
Well, boring.
Well, it's fine. It's still
Okay,
a limited
fine.
edition. You can probably still flip it for $250 if you wanted to really be an asshole. But if you like green 3DSs, definitely take a look at this one first. It does that thing that a lot of these limited edition ones did. Animal Crossing was one of them, in which the top screen was a color, but then the body of the system, in other words, the bottom screen where you actually hold the system, is white. Why is this a problem?
Your fingers are dirty.
You are filthy. So that's that.
Thanks, Dan.
You and every one of those broquettes listening out there, you're filthy,
filthy.
filthy gamers. That white system will eventually be like a gray-yellow from you touching it and playing with it. See, I actually wash my hands before I play my games.
I wash
you
my
know
hands
this.
too. He does. He's so anal about his games.
I am. So something like this, even I wouldn't buy, because you can't get your hands clean enough. Eventually, they're gonna get.
My Pikachu one doesn't look that bad.
Just give it another like a year, and it's gonna.
Damn.
But to be fair, it'll be yellow like the top screen. You know,
So
it'll be a
all
full
match.
yellow.
Well, yellow and green, it'll go.
But even yours, like the back of the 3DS XL, it's the Pikachu tail, and it is also yellow. So when you close it, it's yellow on both sides. On this one, when you close it, it's still half green, half white, and they added like the Yoshi eggs on the bottom screen as like I don't know, like just give it a little bit of style, which is fine. But it would have been better if this whole thing was green with the white accents. So give it white buttons. Give it like a couple of Yoshi eggs on the bottom screen, just like they did, to give it a little bit more white, even like the spots. Make it like an egg type of design to the entire thing. But you know, it still looks great. It's the same price. You're not paying anything extra. If you want this extra option, you know, it is there for you. Otherwise, they still have the full black. They still have the red, the blue. It's all still there. On to some more video game news. South Park: The Stick of Truth. If anyone has Facebook or Twitter, any South Park fans are raving about this game. It is not on current gen consoles. I can call it that now. It's actually on the last gen, so PS3 and Xbox 360. Also PC gaming.
The little bit that we played, I really like it. A thing that we've heard a lot, and I agree with, is it's very true to the TV show. It's the same kind of humor, the same kind of pacing. You know, there's some fights thrown in there, and just go do this, so I'll give you this. But the interactions that you actually have with the characters are so funny.
It actually feels like, and I hate to say it, sounds so cliche, like every marketing thing, but you can put this on the box art, South Park. I don't know whoever made this. That's like my dream, to have like a quote, something we said on the podcast, and then like the little hyphen, the reasons I'm broke, on like a book or a game. One day. It looks like you're actually watching the show. As you're playing, it's the exact same animations when you're controlling the character. And when you played the game on, let's say, the N64, they tried to make them into like these 3D polygon. It doesn't work. And the same thing with the Simpsons game. It just doesn't look right when you're playing those games. But here, it's like a 2D platformer, sort of, when you're walking around. But you can go into houses. You can go back and explore like the back of desks and whatnot. And when you talk to the characters, all the original voice actors are there. Even like when they do the terrible Al Gore impression, it's there too. And all these little references.
Man, Bear, Pig.
It is really a love letter to South Park fans. Like the most obscure references are there, and then you have like the more obvious ones. You can choose from 1 to 4 classes if you didn't pre-order the game. I went with the Jew class.
Of course.
Because
where you get your
I'm
little
5.
like curly hair out of your hat and your little coat.
The coat, I'm sure that's what it's called.
Jew coat.
The Jew coat. As I said on Facebook, I wasn't a high enough Jew yet to do the circumcision special.
Oh, that's so gross.
I think you have to be level 2 or 3. What would I play? Like a couple of hours of this game?
Maybe.
It was... If I was a bigger South Park fan or a big RPG fan, I would have really enjoyed this. From what I'm hearing, it's not that long of a game, but there are so many side quests in there. It's kind of hard to believe that if you just did the main story, of course it's going to be a shorter game.
Right.
But if you enjoy the show and you like doing all the side quests and trying to 100% the game, you can get a lot out of it. And I thought that the battle system, you saw it too, it's not it is turn-based, but there's more interaction to it.
Right, you have to block when the other person's attacking you and...
Yeah, there's like an on-screen prompt where you can actually lower the damage that is being done to you if you press like the X button right at the right time. Or if you're actually dealing damage, when you raise the hammer in the air and you're about to bring it down and the hammer glows white, if you hit X right at that point, it'll do critical hit damage. So there is way more... It's kind of like Paper Mario, actually.
I never played that.
It had very similar mechanics to it. So... It is entertaining. Your party members are great. You can talk to a lot of the characters. And if you're big on South Park or RPGs, I would say definitely check it out.
You can take a shit and carry it around with you.
That's like a trophy. If you sling that shit at another player, it's not a kid's game, obviously.
Well, no.
But otherwise, if you're just a casual player, you've seen a couple of seasons of South Park, wait for it to drop to about $40 or maybe $30. Which it will this year because it is on PS3 or 360. It's not a next-gen title.
Next, something I'm super excited about. The thing Kevin Conroy has leaked for months has been announced. The next Arkham game is called Arkham Knight. It is the final game in the Arkham series.
Also the name of this episode, Arkham Knight.
Ooh.
There's some mystery to that title, which we will touch upon here in a second.
Mm-hmm. First thing they announced, there will be a drivable Batmobile.
That is something that we've been asking for a long, long time.
Well, you kind of hit a button in the first one. Kind of drove it.
Sort of. Now you can do it, which some people were saying that there are still no Gothamites in Gotham. You can't just interact with regular people.
That's okay.
Which is fine, because that's not something Batman does.
No.
He doesn't just walk around the street.
Batman's not like, hey, Betty, how's the kids?
What are you doing? Just interrogating everyone. So obviously with a drivable Batmobile, you can't have just innocent bystanders just
Walking
running
around the
around.
street,
And
yeah.
No, it's not going to happen. So it's going to be another desolate Gotham City that you get to fucking kick ass in.
Awesome.
And that leads us to the next thing. Batmobile DLC skins.
Na, 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 na,
Now,
na, na.
one of my coworkers said, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard
He's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Who is he?
If it had been any other game, I would have been like, that's fucking stupid. And now I'm like, oh, the fucking Batmobile I can do the animated series skin. I hope so.
I'm sure you can. They already have the Batman animated series skin for Batman. They're not going to leave out the Batmobile.
And here's the thing about DLC. If the game is so good that you got more than $60 worth of entertainment out of it, by all means, fucking buy the DLC.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel that it gave you more than $60, give them more, buy the extra shit.
Take my money.
Take my money.
Throw it at the TV
You've
screen.
earned it.
Shove it in your PS3.
What Batmobile do you want to see other than Batman the Animated Series?
Don't make me choose. Batman the Animated Series Season 4. I'm sure they'll have the Tumbler in there.
That'd be nice.
I'm sure. I'd like to see the 80s Batmobile. Tim
From
Burton.
89? Yeah, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually the one I was going to go with, but now that you picked it, I would have to go with the Adam West one.
Oh, that'd be cool too. I'm sure they'll have all of those. Why not? What's it really cost them to make those?
Yeah, takes them like a day of work.
Yeah.
Also, there will be no multiplayer in this game.
Not worried about it.
That's good. I'm glad. Here's why. In Arkham Origins, they wanted to force feed you the multiplayer.
Yeah.
The only way you can play Arkham Origins ahead of time is if you signed up for this beta, which I did. And we said it was really funny because the week before we were talking about like we're gonna talk about it next week because I want to play the multiplayer beta. And then like right after we recorded, the episode went out. I'm reading the agreement like you cannot talk about this beta. And then I went about the next week like maybe they won't notice that I didn't talk about it. So the multiplayer it wasn't fun.
No,
like
it really wasn't.
It didn't really work. It was too slow and you didn't really feel like Batman because any asshole could just
kill you
with anything. And if there's no multiplayer, that means that they're going to focus more on the single player. And Rocksteady has never done a multiplayer. Let's remember that for a sec. Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, there was never any multiplayer. And guess what? They were both better than Arkham Origins.
Yes, agreed.
So more focus has to go on the story, and from the looks of it, it will.
Big news too, getting back to that mystery of what Arkham Knight is. It is actually an original character created by Jeff Johns.
The Arkham Knight. Villain or hero?
I think it's going to be an anti-hero. No, I take that back. I think it's going to be a villain. Because Batman's going to be like, I'm protecting all these people from these villains. And then the Arkham Knight's going to be like, but who's protecting the villains from you? Boom! Called it. That line is going to be in there.
You're calling it right now.
I'm calling it right now. And if it is in there, they owe me money. I want somebody to be listening like, oh, shit, that is a good badass line.
Let's put that in there real quick. But the game's only like 7 months away. Doesn't matter. Put it in. Like, all the voice actors have already done their lines because Kevin Conroy fucking leaked it almost a year ago.
Good job, Kevin Conroy. Well, then to add it in, they have to be like, well, who is protecting them from you? Has to sound real robotic. Yeah. I think that's what it's going to be, though.
One of the animators does it. Yeah, it will be a villain, I think. Actually, we'll talk about that later. One more bit of news here for Arkham Knight, and then we'll talk about what we really want to see in the game. Kevin Conroy is returning as Batman.
Because nobody knew.
Well, we knew he was coming back. It is also the most important news out of anything here.
Agreed.
Kevin Conroy as Batman. Why is this so important? Because it's fucking Batman.
There's no other Batman but Kevin Conroy. Doesn't exist.
The ironic thing about Arkham Origins is that they went for a voice actor that sounded... that they wanted to sound younger. Because it was a younger Batman, and it turns out he sounded way older than fucking Kevin Conroy. So there he is. He's back. It's a Batman at his prime.
Kevin can sound younger, though. Like, they didn't even try.
Exactly. One of the things in Batman Gotham Knight, this came out right before The Dark Knight. It was supposed to be like the tie-in movie between Batman Begins and Batman The Dark Knight, but it also stood out on its own. That's how you do a tie-in. What was great about this is there's a segment in which Bruce Wayne has a ton of lines. It was in the story in which he has the technology from Lucius Fox. He puts it on his belt and it actually deflects bullets. The moral of this story is that he wants to put his life on the line, not somebody else's. One of the bullets deflects, goes on a thug, now he has to fucking save this guy. In this one, there's a ton of Bruce Wayne dialogue, and they almost recast. They said, I don't think Kevin Conroy can do it. It's going to sound too old. This is a guy in his 20s, late 20s, early 30s. And Kevin Conroy said, let me try it. Let me go ahead and give it a shot. And it turned out it was awesome. And it still sounded great. It still sounded like the same Bruce Wayne that we grew up with.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you said, Origins, they were just like, they probably wanted somebody cheaper.
It's probably what it came down to.
Probably. But they should have tried. So this one will be even greater because we have Kevin Conroy back.
So happy. And he hasn't gone on about this nonsense about retiring or anything like Mark Hamill did.
Oh, Mark Hamill.
Would you be surprised if the Joker made an appearance?
I would. I'd be very surprised.
Because they killed him in the last one, right?
Even though there was that weird thing with the vial mix-up. Did anybody else notice that? You remember?
Oh, with Clayface?
Yeah. We had the vial in one hand, gets knocked out, and suddenly it's in his other hand.
Which it could be another swap with Clayface, and yeah, it's true. I want to see the Joker at the end of this.
I don't think he's going to be there, Dan.
I don't know.
Prepare to be disappointed.
There was a picture with Mark Hamill and Tara Strong about a year ago, right around the time they were recording this.
They're buddies.
And Tara Strong Oh, you'll be happy about this.
No.
Tara Strong is coming back as Harley Quinn.
It doesn't even look like Harley in this one.
Well, even better. So it's really not like Harley Quinn. I remember, like, I was trying to be nice when I tweeted Tara, but I was like, so are they bringing back Arlene Sorkin for Arkham Knight, or will it be you again? Obviously, you can't read it like that on Twitter, but that's exactly what it said. And she never responded. She's probably like, you're the same asshole that always makes fun of me.
She probably read it, are they bringing back Arlene, or will it be you again? That's how she read it. And she's like, oh, will be me.
I always get on her when she puts up pictures of Harley Quinn from the animated series. And she's like, look, it's me and my pudding. And it's like, no, that's Arlene Sorkin. You never did Harley Quinn in the animated series. Stop doing that.
Whoa, Dan, got violent.
Really upset her. Okay, so the one villain I want to see in Arkham Knight more focused on, and it's only because we haven't seen her since Arkham Asylum, like, have a big role, and that's actually going to be Poison Ivy.
I knew you were going to say that. I can see that, though. I agree. I think I missed her fight in Arkham Asylum.
You throw batarangs at her.
Oh, okay. Well, we got to see her a little bit in City. Remember Catwoman goes to fight her?
For the Catwoman DLC. If you didn't get the Catwoman DLC, she really wasn't in the game.
Right. No, I would like to see that. I'd like to see a lot of Scarecrow.
Which it looks like he will be initially the main villain.
Mm-hmm.
Some people... there was one guy that was like, Scarecrow, couldn't they have gone with someone more important? I was like, where were you when Hugo Strange was announced as the main villain in Arkham City? Like, that was an even more obscure character for you to bitch about Scarecrow. And if you've played any of the Arkham games, you'd know that's not really the main villain. In Arkham City, it wasn't Hugo Strange. It was Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
In Arkham Knight, it's not going to be the Scarecrow. It's probably going to be the Arkham Knight. So there you go. So if you know anything about storytelling, they're not going to tell you everything right away. There's always a bait and switch to it.
Mm-hmm. I would like to see more Catwoman. Is she going to be in there? Are they going to be in love?
I doubt that. Because
they're already in love.
Because Paul Dini's not writing this. So.
Already in love. Get out of my room.
I want to see Talia come back.
Get out of my house.
What do you get if you pre-order the game?
Kevin Conroy. Can they just give him to you if you pre-order?
You get the playable Harley Quinn DLC. You get to play as her in the challenge maps, and you also get 3 maps, I believe. As we get closer to the game, different retailers are going to have exclusive skins to the Batman or to the Batmobile, different challenge maps. We went with GameStop because of the Batman the Animated Series skin for Arkham City. Mm-hmm. Done and done. But at the end of the day, if you get the season pass, you'll get all of that shit.
Right. So excited. Do we have a release date yet? Tentative release date? Probably October?
Yep.
Everything comes out in October.
You've heard the podcast before. To any of the veteran brokettes, you would know that I've said on multiple occasions, do not get a next-gen system in the first year of release. Only an idiot would get a PS4 or an Xbox One within the first 12 months of launch. Now I'm looking at Arkham Knight. I guess I'm an idiot. I'm the biggest dummy in the fucking world because I'm going to get a PS4.
For a game.
For a single fucking game. And Kingdom of Hearts 3, which will be out at the earliest 2015.
You know what? Just leave Kingdom Hearts alone. Just leave it alone.
Well, I do want to get on some fans about this because a lot of them are like, you said it'd be out 2014. No. They never once said 2014. 2.5 will come out this year. And that'll be the only Kingdom Hearts game that comes out this year. Kingdom Hearts 3 at the earliest next year. And even then, I don't even think. I think it'll be out 2016, 2017.
Really? I don't think 2017. I think 2016 at the latest.
No, we'll see. Yeah. But definitely not this year. So that'll bring us to the question of the week. A little dated, actually, because I asked this right before the announcement. We definitely knew it was coming out this week, the announcement. As you heard last week, the banners went up at GameStop for Monday for a new Batman game. We didn't know what the title was. So I did ask, the new Batman Arkham game will be announced very soon. Any guesses on the title? So you're laughing at the first one already.
Al from Facebook said, Arkham Apartment. You basically just clean the place up before guests come over.
Pretty good.
That was awesome.
But the other response we got was on Twitter at Dark Knight Drew. I could really care less. When I saw the report, I squealed like a little girl with joy.
Way to be honest with yourself, Dark Knight Drew. I'm proud of you.
Because at the end of the day, they could have called it Arkham, whatever the fuck. Like, Arkham Superman Loves Batman, and everyone would have bought
yourself.
it. Arkham Fuck You Gamers, and it would have, like, oh, can I pre-order Arkham Fuck You Gamers? Is there a collector's edition yet? Alright, no, that's fine.
We would have. The last two were so good. This one's going to be just as good, if not better. Very, very excited.
Sounds like Rocksteady's final game. Final Batman game. They said it was the last one in the Arkham series. I honestly think that Rocksteady's going to move on after this.
Probably. They've had such success, and you don't want to push a good thing too far.
I hope this isn't the best one that in the whole series, because I want to see every single game improve up to this point. But it looks like with Warner Brothers Montreal doing the Suicide Squad game, maybe another studio would take over the Arkham game after Rocksteady. We may still check them out if it's the same type of gameplay, just like we did with Origins, but it will suck when Rocksteady leaves.
The thing about Rocksteady, though, is, and I told this to somebody the other day, because today, I was talking to somebody about it, actually. That's funny. And they were asking how Origins was, because they never picked it up. And I said, with Asylum and City, you felt like you were Batman when you were playing it. With Origins, you felt like you were playing a Batman game. Mm-hmm. And that's something Rocksteady has figured out, that formula. I don't know, maybe Batman works for Rocksteady.
Kevin Conroy does work for them.
He does. Yeah. He does that, we haven't seen any other studio grasp up to this point. Because you don't play this game to play a Batman game. You play this game to be Batman.
And they pride themselves on that.
Exactly.
The very last line that you see when you watch the trailer, be the Batman, coming soon. So that's exactly what they wanted. And every single interview you see with the developers, they always talk about, like, what would Batman do in this point? What kind of gadgets can we give you, the player, so you can actually feel like the Batman?
Right.
And that's exactly what you touched up on. And you're right. That's actually where a lot of the success for these games comes.
Hopefully they can continue that with this one, which I'm sure they'll be able to.
That'll wrap up our news for this week. Right before we jump into comics, some more on MegaCon 2014. It is on March 21st through the 23rd. Get your tickets at megaconvention.com.
It's so close, I can't wait. And this year, sci-fi speed dating is back. Didn't you almost enter that one year? You should probably enter it this year.
I was like giggling and like, hey, look, speed dating. And you're like, you should go into that.
You should. Do it. Why not? Each session will consist of 15 to 25 3-minute dates. The times are Friday at 3 and 6 o'clock, Saturday at noon, 3 and 6, and Sunday at noon and 3. You must be 18 or older to participate with a valid ID.
And for any of our gay listeners, the session for you will be on Saturday at noon. So they actually made like a separate one just for any of the gay attendees for MegaCon.
I still think you should attend one, just for the hell of it. Why not?
I don't want to break hearts at this convention.
But maybe you'll meet someone nice.
Meet a nice young man. Damn it, I went to the noon one. Now I'm so confused.
What are these feelings?
I feel like Superman meeting Batman for the first time. James O'Barr, the creator of The Crow, will be signing all weekend at MegaCon. The latest Crow movie will start filming later this year.
They're still filming Crow movies?
They stopped for a while. And now they're like, okay, let's step back a little bit. Maybe we can still get a little bit of cash if we just make this one right. For a while, what's his name? Cooper? The one actor, I don't remember his first name, but he was in Wedding Crashers. He played like that asshole in it. Mm-hmm. He was attached to it as the Crow for a while, and then they went off to someone else. But it actually will start filming this year. Interesting. I think there's still like a small audience for it. Mm. But we'll see.
Just like if The Room ever made a sequel. Yeah. I would watch it. I'd go to theaters and watch it. I would spend money on that shit.
James O'Barr still making that money, though, from these. So if you're still into The Crow, he'll be there. So pull out your old comics and get them signed by James O'Barr. Just as a heads up, he's not the nicest guy.
Aww.
If you ever seen any interviews with the guy in any DVDs, he's not very social, so don't take it as a personal thing. That's just, the way he is. He met actually with a lot of tragedy early on in his relationship with what it was at the time his significant other, and that's actually what inspired the events and the film, the comic book actually, of The Crow.
Interesting. But guys, just a reminder, like we said, March 21st through the 23rd, so we will only have one more podcast before MegaCon. So if you guys have any questions, you need a Kelli tip of the weekend or something, definitely hit us up on Twitter. Let us know at Reasons I'm Broke, and we'll make sure to address it on the next podcast.
And with that, we can jump into comic books for this week.
Mm-hmm. First off, we're going to start out with some indie. We have Adventure Time Flipside number 3 of 6. This is written by Paul Tobin and Colleen Coover, with art by Wook Jin Clark.
Here, Finn and Jake are continuing their adventure in trying to find a way for, I guess, the Monkey King to kidnap a princess, because that's actually what the whole arc is about. There's 3 issues left. This one was really funny.
It was. I didn't feel it was as strong as the other ones, though. Just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the art is still good. Mm-hmm. You get a new introduction of another character. But here they're trying to get the king his, pet back, or his inspiration.
Right.
And, at the end of it, they may or may not reach it, but it's more about the journey to that. So really, we're on this comic book to see funny things like tree trunks and switching bodies with one of the giant pets in this. So I still enjoyed it. I liked it.
No, I enjoyed it as well. Marceline is in this randomly. I don't remember them inviting her. Mm-hmm. But I think she was beneficial to the story. I think she's going to continue to pull the story along. I thought the last few panels was really funny when incident that they wanted to happen didn't happen. And they're like, here, have these stickers.
Yeah, that was the funniest part of it.
That was really great. We get to see a little bit of the Ice King. Just a little bit. But I miss him. I love the Ice King.
So overall, a very middle-of-the-road book.
Mm-hmm. Middle of the road for the middle of the arc.
Yeah,
Works
perfect.
Out.
We did have another Adventure Time graphic novel that we'll touch up on next week. It'll be called the third graphic novel, Seeing Red.
Sorry, I'm a slacker, Dan. I got this thing called a job.
We'll review that next week. The Marvel book is She-Hulk number 2, written by Charles Soule, with art by Javier Pulido.
So good.
This is my pick of the week.
Really? Oh, I didn't even think about my pick and pass.
Early on, She-Hulk number 2, she continues. This is her first case, but she's also having trouble. She ends up moving into a place, though, where they actually specialize in superheroes and using their powers to try to get money and try to get some jobs. And it fits for her.
It's an office building that only leases to people with superpowers. And I really like the explanation. She gets to meet the landlord, and She-Hulk's like, why do you do this? And the landlord goes, I used to have superpowers. With Imday, they called it, and I don't know what all...
Yeah, because we don't read a lot of Marvel.
Right, but she lost her powers, and she understands how hard it is for them to get a place, because by having powers, insurance rates go through the roof. Mm-hmm. So she has this, moderately cheap place where they can rent and run a business through her, which I thought was great. I really liked her character. We get an introduction to She-Hulk's assistant, I guess, who something's up with her, man. She's creepy. She's got this little pet monkey she carries everywhere. Mm-hmm. And there was a whole line of people waiting for interviews, and suddenly they were gone, and she was the only one left. I don't know. And She-Hulk was like, oh, okay, you're hired. You're the only one. I'm like, wait.
Don't ask questions. The art was great. Mm-hmm. The story was good. And overall, the pacing was amazing. And there was one other book on this. It was actually a DC book that I felt rivaled it. But She-Hulk overall was the best book I read this week. Also, the She-Hulk number 2, I would normally give out the digital code for. No digital code.
Oh.
I don't know if Marvel is stopping that or not.
I don't know.
I know they're focusing a lot now on the digital market. Right. Because they know they can make more money off of it. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much of an influence Disney had over that.
Please, Dan, really?
But I'm hoping they don't start cutting back on the orders for comic book shops. Comic book shops are closing, and But a lot of them are actually very successful, and this has been last year was one of the best years for comic book retailers,
That's awesome.
the ones that are still open. So hopefully it doesn't mean that they're going away, and hopefully Marvel doesn't completely cut off these guys, but it's just a sign that they're really wanting to make those sales over the digital, and when assholes like me are giving it out to listeners for free, I guess it's a sale they could have gotten, but not really, because how many of them would have actually went out and bought the book or downloaded it?
Right. I mean, if it's something you guys really want to follow, I definitely say put it on your pull list, because then you're guaranteed to have it even if they do start sending out smaller orders. Next up, we have Batman Superman Annual Number 1, aka Superman Loves Batman, written by Greg Pak with art by Jay Lee and Ed Benes.
This was really, really good.
This was really, really good.
It was between this and another one that we're about to touch up on that my favorite DC book for this week. It is extra. There's more pages in this, and it is going to cost you $5.99.
Oof.
But it is an annual.
And it was really good. It was a great story. It's we defeated, what's his name? I want to call him Mogo. It's not Mogo. Mongol. And his son's like, yo, mofos, I'm here now.
My name's Jochi.
He wears little, like, MC Hammer pants.
He does. I liked him. I like Jochi.
I liked him a lot.
He was a really good character. Mainly, not just because at the end of the day he teamed up with our favorite, the world's finest, but he was kind of like a lesser Mongol, not just straight up evil or anything,
right.
But he was willing to kind of work the system to get control over his planet. And at the very end of it, it turns out that his culture and his people are more important to him than saving his own life.
Right. Exactly. I felt that this one was really heartfelt, because they talk a lot about loss, and a lot of them weren't expecting to come back from this mission that they go on, and you get to see, kind of touch on the personal loss of both Superman and Batman. And then I went, no, Damian.
Yeah. If you're any kind of Superman fan, you know that Superboy is also dead, along with Damian Wayne.
They said they think he's dead.
Oh, yeah. But they kind of work those parallels between the two characters.
Right.
So it's another connection that Superman and Batman have. But really what we read this for is for Superman's inner feelings for Batman.
For Batman, which there were a lot.
So, yeah, we do have that. We have Superman Loves Batman Moment of the Week, which calls for the theme song. So should we jump right into the most obvious one, which was right near the end?
Let's save that one.
The kryptonite. Let's go into the kryptonite.
Oh yes. So should we spoil it?
It's basically a tournament in the planet, and Superman and Batman, both teams, are split up. So at the very end of it, of course, because they're the best fighters, they end up being in the final round, with Jochi being on Batman's team, and then Superman, Supergirl, and Krypto being on the other.
Yep, and so they have to fight each other, but it has to be to the death. Because up till now, Batman's been like, punch off your arms, throw you in the crowd, we win. But now they're like, nah, you guys actually have to kill each other. But they can't hold back, because if they sense any hesitation, then shit's gonna go down.
They'll blow up Earth or whatever. Yeah.
So Batman's got this kryptonite, and he's like beating the shit out of Superman, and he's about to hesitate. And Superman's like, no, just do it.
Go all the way.
At least I got to see you one last time.
He might as well have said that.
He might as well have, yes. He was ready to die by Batman's hand.
But obviously Batman hesitates, and the whole thing is, what Joshi tries to tell his people is that it isn't a weakness if you don't kill someone. It's actually a strength when you show mercy. Mm-hmm. They obviously don't buy it, because it's like a war planet and whatnot, survival of the fittest. But the other Superman Loves Batman moment was at the end, when Batman is feeling for Jochi and is trying to save him, and he calls out his name, trying to convince him to take his hand. And Superman, and I quote, he says, "All I can do is watch as you scream his name. ... Bruce."
So gay. So amazing.
Oh, Superman.
He was so jealous in that moment. Like, I wanted him to scream my name.
But he also wanted to comfort Batman in that moment, and he
Yeah.
know he couldn't because he had to stop the planet from coming to Earth. See, that's what gives Superman so much depth in these stories, and I love this series for it. It's so great, and I hope they don't switch over from Greg Pak, because he nails it. He nails the Superman lines perfectly.
He nails his love amazingly. And I want Greg Pak to be like, somebody got it. He's listening to this. He's like, somebody understands.
He's got to have like a cigar, like, yes.
Feather boa too.
and a monocle.
Yeah, good for him.
Top hat. Good job, Greg Pak. Was this your pick of the week?
No, I don't think it was.
We'll move on to the next one, which is Detective Comics number 29, a Gothtopia tie-in and the end of Gothtopia. This one's written by John Layman with art by Aaron Lopresti and Art Thibaert.
This was an awesome book too. I really enjoyed this one.
I was a little disappointed with it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I thought Batman was badass.
He was awesome. Like, he put aside Scarecrow and Batmaned his way out of his fucking nonsense Scarecrow gas. But I felt like Gothtopia was building up, especially with all the tie-ins, into, you know, like this big message at the end. And maybe it was DC editorial being like, hey, we can sell more books if you make this into a Gothtopia tie-in. I don't know. I don't know the whole story to it. Maybe that is the case. Maybe this was just meant to be like a 2 to 3 issue arc and that's it. Which would have made more sense. But with everything they were kind of saying about it, especially with the way Batman reacted at the very end, it's like everyone just kind of came out unchanged. Batwoman and Talon, they were just like, okay, I guess we're better and see you later. Like, we didn't even see what happened with them.
Right.
It was just so, like, quickly tied up. Like, okay, and then it's over.
Yeah, I guess. I guess. I understand what you mean. But I thought Batman was so cool where he's like, you think I'm under your influence gas, but we're going to go gas these guys instead because they're fucking criminals.
Yeah, he's like, he was a fucking asshole anyway. Like, that was great.
Nightmares of my face. Yeah, that was so smart. So smart, Batman.
Yeah, that was cool.
And I like how he knew where they lived, too. Like, still remembered this after being under this gas for forever.
Because they're like, we're going this way. He's like, no, we're going this way.
I like how they listened to him, too. Because in that moment, I've been like, he's resisting. Like, if it were me.
Because Scarecrow told him, like, any sign of resistance, fucking kill him.
And instead they're like, oh, we're going this way.
We'll follow you anyway.
He's in my control now.
I did also like the very end of it. When Catwoman... No, I like this. Because Catwoman's like, oh, what else did you see in this fantasy? Bruce, were we... And Batman just says, no, Gotham was safe. That's all I saw. I'm like, that's all he saw.
That's not all he saw.
That's all he saw, Kelly.
They totally did it like 5 times.
No, that's not part of his fantasy.
I'm pretty sure that
we were just seeing a part of Catwoman's fantasy.
No, we were not.
That's what we were following.
We were following Batman the whole time.
No.
Get out of my house.
So, was this your pick of the week?
No.
No, I guess we'll just get to it.
Maybe. Next we have Forever Evil number 6 of 7, so we are almost to the end. This is written by Jeff Johns with art by David Finch and Richard Friend.
We find out the ultimate fate of Nightwing.
Yes.
Or is it ultimate?
It's not. Please. He's still got to dye his hair and look fabulous.
That's a reference to the Thanksgiving page that they had a couple months ago. So this one, this is what I was referring to earlier. It has a great pace to it.
Yes. Because
it switches from the villains to Batman to the Crime Syndicate. And the whole time you're just like, oh shit, what happens next? What happens next? And you just want to keep flipping. Mm-hmm. Sinestro is awesome in this.
Always.
Ultraman gets his fucking ass kicked.
Yeah, good.
You have kind of Shazam wanting to get revenge on him. So that ties in well into this. I thought Superwoman, when she says, your will is mine, or bend your will to me, or whatever, I thought that was really funny because Sinestro says, we shall see about that woman. Like, that's perfect because he actually has amazing will. If you read anything about Green Lantern, he is the greatest Green Lantern. And I think he's going to fucking destroy Superwoman.
Oh, I'm sure. And her baby.
And her fucking baby, yeah. With Thomas Wayne. Nightwing was tied up or held down, whatever, to the murder machine.
The murder machine.
That was the name of it.
I was like, the murder... Keep reading.
I guess they could have called it whatever. And like,
I
it
would.
wouldn't have mattered.
They could have called it like unicorn shit, and I'd be like, okay, whatever.
It's irrelevant. So I don't want to spoil this issue because a lot of people, they still want to know. There's a lot of Nightwing fans out there, a lot of Robin fans. So they want to know what happens to Robin. So we'll leave it at that. But I'm going to predict that Lex Luthor is going to save the day. It's not going to be Batman.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think Lex Luthor was pretty badass in this. I liked what happened with him and Batman. I know you didn't. You were like, really, Batman? But we're still on the heels of
Damian's death.
So, yeah, I think that's very realistic, how he would react.
Lex manipulates Batman, and later on in the scene, I felt like Batman kind of let his emotions get to him. But when you did tell me, like, he's actually still dealing with Damian's stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I couldn't argue with that.
Then you felt bad.
I couldn't argue. Like,
then
I had nothing to say. But it did kind of bother me, though, that Lex can get to Batman. Again, Lex even says it's so easy. Like, it shouldn't be. I think, Batman is smarter than Lex. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if anything, Batman should be manipulating Lex. But, I don't know. I'm really excited for number 7.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I don't know that they can wrap this up in one issue, though.
Well, there's going to be repercussions to it.
Well, yeah. I think this was my pick of the week.
Forever Evil number 6.
Yep, there it is. There it is. It was really good. Oh, we get the big reveal at the end, too, which once you... we read that little article, you kind of explained who the character was to me. I'm really excited to see one of my brother in there.
Hero or villain?
Anti-hero.
You think he'll be both?
Mm-hmm. I think he's going to have good intentions, but not go about them the right way. I think he's going to go overboard in the people with superpowers shouldn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you give someone that much power, this is what they do with it. Because that's all he's seen in his world. So I think that's what's going to happen.
So that was Forever Evil number 6. Here's the pass of the week. And you didn't even read this because I didn't even let you read this.
So I guess this is my pass of the week too.
Forever Evil Arkham War number 6 of 6. If Joker's Daughter had come out this year, it would have been really tough for me to decide which was the worst book I had read. Forever Evil Arkham War number 6 of 6 is the worst comic I've read this year so far.
Oh, wow. Poor Peter J. Tomasi.
But Peter J. Tomasi gets a pass because he fucking has been killing it on Batman and Robin. Bane takes control of the city and he defeats everyone, and that's the whole book. Like, it's just so stupid. Like, the first couple of issues we really enjoyed. At least I was liking it. I know you said, like, yeah, it was alright. And then, like, it's just the last 3 have been fucking just downward. And this is the worst of it all.
I wanted, like, one of the writers or somebody one of the artists gave him shit one day. And he's like, fine, draw this. I'm going to tie your name to this. My name will live on. Yours, nah.
Well, one of my coworkers, Alex, who you'll hear in two episodes from now for the MegaCon one, because we'll be too busy with MegaCon,
yeah.
so that podcast will go up. He said that he probably just, like, fucking paycheck. Like, yeah, let me just do this side story and focus on Batman and Robin again, because that is the main thing. But yeah, that's our pass of the week.
Yeah.
Next is a book made for you.
No, you like this book way more than I do.
ladies.
It's The Movement number 10, written by Gail Simone with art by Freddie Williams II. This is finishing up the little bit with Batgirl. This was almost my pass of the week if it weren't for that one that I actually passed on this week. I don't know. I did not like this one.
I actually really liked it.
Well,
I like the movie number 10.
We can just agree to disagree.
I thought it was funny. The humor was great. I think Gail really nails it when it comes to these characters. And the art was amazing. The story with Batgirl was really good. I like the conflict between the two groups because they both kind of have their rights and wrongs. Mm-hmm. They keep criticizing Batgirl and really Batman because they say you can't just give them to the cops because they're corrupt. You're not really fixing or helping these people. But at the same time, these aren't the cops that they actually put away these criminals to. You know, in their city for the movement, these cops are more corrupt than the ones in Gotham.
They also, I like that they brought up Arkham, where they're like, what really happens to people when they go there?
And Batgirl knows that it's not helping them. Mm-hmm. I would say that my biggest problem with this, and Teen Trillionaires had a very similar thing, every character suddenly finds like, oh, and I'm in love now, and I like you, and suddenly we like each other too, even though this whole time before the book was canceled, they were building up that relationship still, and now
Right.
since it's ending, they're like, oh, and they love each other now, and I don't like that.
That's why I think my biggest problem with this book is she's gone these whole 10 issues now building catharsis up to seem like this badass, and she doesn't need anybody, and she's fine on her own. She can do things her way. And then in 2 panels, she takes her clothes off for this guy.
Yeah.
2 panels. And she's like, let's get naked.
Strong women characters, I guess.
She didn't even take off her wings. That was weird to me.
So yeah, the movement number 10, I still really enjoyed it. It was almost your pass of the week, but at the very end they do hint that maybe a couple of these characters will move on over to the Birds of Prey.
Yep, and I'm sure they will. I'm sure Gail's writing all this stuff, so she'll throw them in somewhere. She'll be like, Shh, no, just draw them.
They're over here now. If she starts writing Birds of Prey, I'll pick it up. So that'll do it for comics this week, actually. My pick of the week was She-Hulk number 2.
Mine was Forever Evil number 6.
And both of our passes of the week was Forever Evil Arkham War number 6 of 6.
And that'll actually do it for us this week, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you check us out on Twitter at ReasonsI'mBroke, #ReasonsI'mBroke.
You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/TheReasonsI'mBroke.
If you're listening to us on iTunes, please leave a rating or a comment or some stars. It helps other people find us.
Also on Stitcher, if you have a mobile device or your favorite tablet, download the Stitcher app. You can find us by searching The Reasons I'm Broke. Download us and you can have us on the go.
And one last time, we cannot stress it enough, guys. Go to megaconvention.com and buy your tickets now. I don't think they'll be up for much longer, but you definitely want to pick them up, save some money, go to a great con, have a lot of fun. We'll be there, even if I have to call into work.
We'll definitely have a lot of fun. We'll be posting up all kinds of pictures on Twitter, so follow along with us, and we hope to see you at MegaCon.
Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Daniel.
We'll see you next week.